More clapping.
One more time.
Wait.
You can never have too much clapping, right?
You can, and we obviously just can't clap for ourselves.
Yay.
We have problems clapping. Hello, everyone. I'm Mia Voss, and I'm here with...
Christine DeGraff. Hello there. Yay.
But believe it or not, she's not the pretty one. This is the pretty one. The lovely.
Craig Fifield. He really is lovely. Put that blue screen on him, and let's just look at him for a while.
We're going to have Ronnie talk.
Hi.
Look at his face. He's got white teeth. He's got clear skin. He's very lovely.
He's got haircut.
That's the smooth function in Hangouts.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Tiny Jesus, for that. Who doesn't love the smooth function? I don't know what you're talking about. You're a man in your 30s. Yeah. Are you in your 40s yet?
I'm in my 40s now.
He's been married 20 years. Every time he says that, I flip out.
Or I get creeped out because I'm like, what, did you get married at 12? That's really creepy.
Pretty much.
Well, Christine, you're a grandma. Where's that coming
from? And speaking of, there's our special guest, Ronnie Bincer.
Hey.
He's pretty lovely, too, with that bald and shiny head there. I love that.
I don't think we'd know what to do if he didn't have on his headset and his glasses, though. Then we'd just be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, why don't we have him take it off and let's look?
Oh, that's very personal. Whoa, who is that? Where did Ronnie go?
I wish we had a whistle thing on here, like a wolf whistle. Exactly.
You can't whistle for yourself, though. That's wrong.
Listen, I had braces. I can't do my whistle anymore. I had to rely on Christine for it. Hey, let's talk about our sponsor real quick, and then we can sing our song. Because you guys didn't sing it last week. So tell us about our sponsor that we love.
Holiday Inn, Washington, D.C., Central White House. It's in D.C., INNDC.com. And definitely a great place to visit. I've been to D.C. several times in my life, the Smithsonian's and stuff like that. And I think the Washington Monument just reopened last week, so they've been closed 3 years. So it'd be a cool thing to do.
And that was scooped to us by Mike Alton, remember? We didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, he was talking about the dinosaur. He said something about T-Rex, and I'm like, what?
What? He's scooped. He's got his finger on the pulse. I'm just saying. So,
yes.
And let's sing our song. Hotel, motel,
holiday.
Say what? Ronnie just looking at us like, okay, what did I sign up for here?
Don't know that one, sorry.
That's hashtag, how did I get here, right, Ronnie?
That's right. Where am I?
So we have, we'll pull up some comments about a funny story so we get in the green room, and Ronnie's like, so what are you going to ask me? I'm like, we don't know your story.
We don't know anything about you before 3 years ago. That's when your life began, I think.
Dude, absolutely no dirt whatsoever on this man. No, like, beer bong pictures, like I was saying. There's nothing. There's no party pictures. We maybe the dog story. We're going to talk about that, right, Ronnie?
We'll do a dog story, yeah.
Okay, we'll get that in there. But let's throw some comments out.
I've got one. Okay. Christopher Vogelman. He says, yes, the monument is open. He can see it from his building. Speaking of Christopher, he's got a show coming up this Friday, I believe, and he is our guest next Wednesday.
Holla, holla. Let's hope we're going to get his other special guest coming along. We're not sure about that one, right? Snowshoe?
We're not sure yet.
I don't know. Hey, Bob! I had to tell Bob. I forgot to tell him.
And Michael Daniels, he wants Ronnie Bincer to do some air quotes.
Why would you do that?
Why would you ask for that?
Yes.
I've got one from Brother Jeff C. Woo! He's very glad he made it back to his office, apparently, and he needs his Ronnie Bincer fix. And then we've got some questions from Christopher when you're ready. So in case we run out of things to talk about, Christopher's got some questions.
And we can always talk about brown M&Ms versus green M&Ms.
In the green room, yes.
Yeah, we had that going on, too. Here's one from Jim Banks. We should have a swear box for every time Ronnie Bincer mentions HOA. I think he'll fill it up.
And Jeff C. says Ronnie Bincer is the HOA Jedi.
Oh.
Except we're not going to talk about HOA.
No, we're not. We're not.
But now we apparently owe 5 cents somewhere because we just said it.
You said it. So you put the money in the swear box.
Fine. I'm going to keep it then. Let's see what else have we got here. So, yeah, we've got a couple questions. But, hey, Ronnie, we're just going to make you talk about you, brother. So, you know the drill. We really do kind of want to know because, seriously, we only know, right, guys? Like,
We don't know much about you besides, you know, we know you're very helpful. We know you're the Hangout Helper. We know that you're in the know about Hangouts. But what else do you know about Ronnie?
We also want to know how that cloning program's coming along, because I know you don't sleep.
Yeah,
and how'd you get from A to B? How'd you get from to Z?
Until this year, I thought his name was Hangout Helper.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of versions. Go ahead.
Which, by the way, does sound very close to Hamburger Helper.
It does. And don't you have something related to Hamburger Helper around there? Props?
Hi. Because it's kind of the same number of fingers as Hamburger Helper. When you look at it this way, it's very Mickey Mouse. This way, it's pretty Hamburger Helper. When I see you,
it's cool because you can use that on your cooking show with Chef. You could.
I do, exactly. And you know what's funny? I will say this real quick because, Ronnie, we were talking about the Colorado hurl. I was really, really upset when I got to Chautauqua Park that I hadn't brought this with me. So I might try and superimpose it in there just so I can get the hand in there. So we missed you at the Colorado hurl, by the way. So now you know where Ronnie lives.
Yes, I live in Colorado. I currently live in Colorado Springs. And let's do that. Have that little bit of a path, that
trajectory. Yes, please.
I moved to Colorado Springs from Austin, Texas, and I had been in Austin, Texas when I was in school at the University of Texas for music. Okay?
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a music background.
I always thought you look like a trumpet player.
I am. I was.
Wow. You know that already.
So that's on my public profile, I believe.
Okay, good.
So prior to Texas, Austin, Texas, I lived in, it's going to start going fast now. I lived in Michigan, and then Ohio, and Wisconsin, and Massachusetts, and I was born in California.
So you just couldn't really decide where you wanted to live.
Commitment issues with states.
Yeah. Actually, what happened is my dad was a professor of theoretical physics at UCal Berkeley.
Wow.
And he got his undergraduate at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So
Your dad sounds like he's not very smart.
Yeah. So
big footsteps to follow in.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So, anyways, Berkeley's where I was born, and then 2 or 3 years later, unfortunately, my family broke up. My dad and mom divorced. So my mom moved back to Massachusetts, so I lived with her in Massachusetts because that's where she had more friends or something. And then eventually I moved to Wisconsin to live with my dad, and then I went to college for music, trumpet, at Ohio State. Then I transferred to Michigan, which was a really big rivalry switch. Football-wise, they're like arch rivals. And then I went to school in Texas, University of Texas, for music, trumpet again. Got my master's degree, and then couldn't get work as a musician. So I got involved with computers. And the reason I got computers is because I got involved in sales. Because, believe it or not, I did door-to-door sales for selling dry cleaning.
Ow! With a master's degree. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I had a master's degree in music, and I did door-to-door sales for dry cleaning coupons.
How did that go?
How'd that work?
It went pretty well. I don't like doing it, but I did it. What that was done, and this is actually interesting. I never even thought about this, but it makes sense. Prior to that, I had worked with a company at the university, or I met the guy. There's a story. Here's the story. I'm a trumpet player, right? I'm playing in big band because I like big band music. I like jazz music, but I was trying to become an orchestral musician, and there's a whole nother story of that. But the big band guy that played the piano asked me what I was going to do when I got out of college, and I said, I don't know, because I can't find a job. And he said, you could work for me. So I said, okay. So I worked for him as what's called a legislative reporter, because Austin's the state capital. So I was at the House side taking notes as to what was going on. It's not like the most glamorous job, but it's something that I learned. I learned politics from the inside that way.
That's awesome.
Then his brother hires me, okay? His brother hires me to help sell. Now, I'm a little old, okay? So trust me on this one. These things called electronic mail computers. Meaning, what was that? It was like a fax machine, except it was a dedicated fax. So from one place to another, you each had to have the same exact machine, and you could send a thermal printed thing to each other.
How much did those things weigh? Like 90?
I don't remember, but it was before email was really, really big, and
Wow.
people were wanting. Anyway, so this happened, and here's what I learned: the hard lesson. This guy hired me to be a salesman, but he made me pay for my own leads. Okay, so I ended up going into debt working.
You're like, how does this help me?
Nowadays, that's called a scam.
Yeah, well, so bottom line is,
Pyramid.
I did the door-to-door sales at night to pay off my leads because I was $3,000 in debt to this guy for getting leads to do his business. So I eventually quit that business.
You should have went to business school.
But as a music guy, I tried getting involved with computers because I tried this spin on it. I went to an IBM place and I said, look, musicians, if you're going to do a good job, you can't just play with all the rules. You have to bend them a little bit. Just like a computer person needs to be able to bend the rules a little bit, stay within the parameters. And it worked for almost the point where I could get a job. But they pulled the hiring ticket at the last minute. And so I got that far. I had done multiple interviews with IBM as what's called a systems engineer, which I don't even know what that is fully. But that's,
I had the job, but I'm not sure.
but I was almost there. So and then the fast forward to I moved, or in Texas. That's right. In Texas, I started doing training because I became a computer salesman. I actually didn't like the selling part as much as I liked the training because this was again back in the day. Where you go to a computer store and they ask you, what do you need to do? And then we would figure out what the computer was. This is called full service. This was back in the dark ages. And we would help them figure out what it was they needed and things like that. And I eventually got involved with desktop publishing. You ever heard of that? Some people haven't. There's a program.
Well, for the young kids, yes.
Yeah, there's a program called PageMaker. When it first came out, I was all over that, and
look at Craig.
I did printing, and then I got involved with training people how to do that, and eventually I became an Adobe certified trainer, and I traveled all over, not with Adobe, but with another company called Mac Academy or Windows Academy, and for 12 years I traveled the country training people how to use desktop publishing programs, and eventually focused and specialized in Photoshop, which most people know what that is. And I became a trainer, and they flew me all over the place. I had a good time for the first 2 years, and then I did it for 10 more years.
Ooh.
that whole business travel thing is highly overrated.
The business travel got old, and I enjoyed the training. I still, to the very end of it, I enjoyed the training. It's just the travel part really got old. And people would ask me, this is how you know you've traveled too much, is when someone in the plane asks you, where are you staying? And you go, I don't know. It's in the overhead. It's up there. It's in the paperwork. When I get out, I figure it out. And
right.
That was it. I mean, and people would say, well, you're in these cities. What's your favorite place? It's like, I don't know. I
haven't seen them. Right.
I go from the taxi to the hotel to eventually you go out to eat somewhere, and then you go back and do your deal, and then you leave.
Yeah, it's not like vacations. I mean, a lot of people think if you travel all over the country, training or sales or whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, you're going here and there. It's so exciting. But you're going to hotels and airports.
You get to be an airport connoisseur.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know the cool stuff at the airports.
Yeah. And then here's one of the things. They said, you can go to Australia. We'll fly you to Australia. It's like, cool. Then I want a little extra time. They said, no. We need you back at Lake Tahoe 2 days after you're done with Australia. It's like,
what a jip.
But I went because I'd never been to Australia. So the furthest away I got to go besides Australia was Hong Kong, because I got to teach at a Macworld, which is a big convention they have.
And what's the Hong Kong airport like?
Actually, in Hong Kong, I got to stay at a place. It's called Kowloon Bay. I don't know if anyone knows that, but it's a really pretty area, and there was very, very fancy stuff. Everybody there, like there was Bentleys in the parking lot at this particular hotel. I think it's called a Regis Hotel. I can't remember for sure. But it was really nice. It was really pretty out there in Hong Kong. And I did spend a week in Hong Kong. So I got to do a tour 2 days out of the 5 I was there or something like that. So that was interesting.
How long ago was that? Was that before it made the transition, or?
That was before the UK left and China
Yes.
took it over. That was probably 3 or 4 years before that, I think. They had just, at that point, they were not done building the new airport where they reclaimed a lot of land. And so the landing into Hong Kong, I don't know if anyone's traveled that much. There are 2 airports in my life that are the most crazy for landing. One was Hong Kong, the other is San Diego.
I was going to say LaGuardia is pretty scary too, because you're like, am I going to land in the water and then hang out? But yes.
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts, so I flew a lot into Boston. And Boston, you fly right on the water until you're landed.
Right.
So
Right.
the water there, to me, landing when there's buildings right next to the tips of the plane is a little bit scarier, and that's what it's like in Hong Kong. And I think San Diego is still a lot like that.
I've got to bring up a couple comments
I was
here.
going to say, I see some. Please do.
Christopher Vogelman says, we will fly you to Australia. You'll be flying in pooch class or pouch class.
Pouch class.
Pouch class.
And let's see. I can't pronounce the name.
Her name's Heidi. She goes by nickname
Okay.
Heidi.
She would love to hear you playing the trumpet. Do you have it with you by chance?
I do. I don't.
Are you serious?
No. I don't. I have it in my house. I don't have it with me here for that.
Christopher says, Adobe Ron Kenobi. And Mike Fountain, a master's degree in trumpet is pure awesomeness.
Here's a good one from Carmen. Oh my gosh, your dad is Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Oh,
So when I went from Texas to where did I go? Colorado, right here where I live now. I was still doing the travel thing, but I started doing. Eventually, that training ended, and that's a whole story in itself. Don't violate contracts even though you think you're no longer in a contract, because they'll come get your butt, and they did. So, but I learned more about the legal system with contracts.
I love it how during your career you had to get a second job to pay off the debt for getting leads for your first job.
Yeah.
You learned all about the legal system. That's just awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so then I got involved eventually in video SEO because oh no, there's more to the story here. This is even more fun. I got involved in real estate, and now I call myself a real estate speculator, but at the time I thought I was an investor. And what that meant was I would buy a house, new ones, and I would get a nasty loan to buy it because that's the only way I could do it because I had too many of them. And then I would sell them later or rent to own them. That was the theory, okay?
Theory.
I did this for 2 years. 2 years before I ever did it live. I did what I call what's like paper trading, meaning I found out what the price of the house would be, how much it would cost me to buy it, and in Colorado it takes about 6 months to build a new home. And so you put the contract down, and then 6 months later you can turn it around and flip it, and you could potentially make 5% on the house. Now, if the house is $200,000, that's not bad. And so I did that on paper for 2 years, and it worked wonderfully because the increase of the value of the house is going between 10 to 14% every year. For those 2 years, I did paper trading. Okay. I get my first contract down, and guess what? 9/11 happens. Okay. And at that point, who knew that it was going to last that long? But I moved into the first house instead of selling it. And then the second one and the third one and the fourth one, they kept, because I had them lined up. I ended up having 13 properties. And then I realized, and my wife, in the middle of this, I met my wife and got married with her. Her name's Dana. She became my realtor. And so we played the game where basically we buy the new home, she gets commission. That helps me maintain some of my negative cash flow. And then eventually we sell the house. But nobody was buying them, only me.
This is like back to the second job for him.
So I'm different than Eric. Eric last week, 3 jobs and he was done. Eric Engie. I've gone through quite a few. So eventually I moved out of the state of Colorado to Tucson, Arizona, because, and I'm jumping ahead because we're going to run out of time here. But I got involved in printing, because I'd taught people how to do Photoshop and InDesign and the desktop publishing for years. So I decided to go into the print world, and I did printing, but it didn't pay very well in Colorado Springs, but it paid pretty well in Tucson. So I moved to a large printing company in Tucson, Arizona, and couldn't handle it after 6 months. It was just too hot. I was there in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
They broke the records, 32 days in a row above 110 degrees.
Well, and coming from Colorado, too, that's just way too tough for us.
So I moved back to Colorado Springs, got involved in SEO, or search engine optimization, with a local company here that was franchise. It was a franchise company, 70 locations, and their home office was in Colorado Springs. So I ran 70 different websites from an SEO angle, got involved with video SEO, and video SEO led me, when I left there and I started doing Google+, left me into this the wonderful world of Hangouts.
And so this is like perfect for you because you like training.
Yeah.
You don't have to travel.
Right.
Yeah, it takes a lot of frogs to figure this one out, but I like it. Right?
And your whole background, your background of Photoshop and everything and video SEO and stuff like that, it really led up to it. So, yeah, you must have been thrilled when Hangouts came out.
Yeah, it's like they made it for me. There's a lot here that just fits really, really well. So I'm liking it.
So here's a good question for you. What was your tipping point moment when you're like, this is the product for me? This is my niche. Was this before people were really doing Hangouts that much? And I kind of know your timing, but did you have some kind of crazy pinnacle moment when you're like, this is it?
The pinnacle moment for me actually happened before most people would think it did. It's when I first got on Google+, and I did what I call posting on purpose. This was before Hangouts on Air even existed. This was just...
Would that be POP?
POP, yeah. And that's not POOP.
Exactly. Drop that extra O, party people.
Right. And at that point, and this just so we can throw it in there, I still was Victor the Video SEO Hound. In other words, there was a dog. I made a dog, which is my dog. It's really a she, not a he.
And what did we say in the green room? It's her...
Her nom de pooch.
Nom de pooch, that's right.
Nom de pooch, yes. It was a dog that I, in Photoshop, very painfully made one little frame at a time where her mouth moved and her eyebrows would move every once in a while. And I manually animated the dog as if she was talking, and it was my voice. This was me early days doing video SEO. Victor the Video SEO Hound.
Where can we find this, please?
You can even see some
just
of
Google it.
Yeah, we need.
Yeah, how about I Google it? Exactly.
Google that. And one of the big things when I early was on here in Google+, I did how Google+ has changed search forever. That was one of my big posts in the early days, and that was Victor talking. So
Right.
that's the
Awesome.
funny behind the scenes. So we can bring up the nostalgic link. We'll put it into the event so people can
Is
see
your
that.
dog now like, no autographs, please?
Right. She's
Talk to the
Hangout dog, I guess.
Somebody mentioned that, I think, in some of the comments too. So there's people that have been around that remember you.
Yeah, they do.
Too.
But the moment that changed things for me was when I was on Google+, and I was posting on purpose, meaning I would use keywords in my titles on purpose, and then I got a phone call from a guy named Mark Robertson, who's the CEO of Real SEO. It's a website, REELSEO.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the authority for video marketing online and video SEO. And for probably a couple of years prior, I had been trying to work deals with Mark. We knew each other, but I was always calling him. He never would call me. Well, this time he calls me. And he said, Ronnie, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just sitting behind my computer. What do you mean? He says, no, what are you doing? You're taking over all my search spots.
Oh,
yeah. Search phrases. And I'm like, really? Is that so? And then he hired me to help him for a little while to get Real SEO, his page going, because he was busy doing stuff. But what that meant to me is in the early days, especially with Google+, you could do a lot of things and make a big impact on the search engine results. And so that, to me, I was like many people that are still today saying, I don't have time to add another social environment, or I don't even think that what's the value of doing anything in social. I came to Google Plus with the idea that I'm going to check it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, whatever, I'll move on. But because it worked and because I was involved in SEO, it was just a no-brainer. This is the place to be. And
well, because it worked and because you worked too, because
I made it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then
and you helped a tremendous amount of people. I mean, I wonder how many people would would kind of like wouldn't have ever gotten started if you hadn't helped them.
How about one right here?
That's awesome.
Well, that's cool. The point is, I'm a helpful guy. I mean, that's just part of my personality. I'm a trainer because I spent so many years developing that. It's just part of my blood now. And then I knew enough about video to make it make sense, and I know how to optimize this stuff. So you add all those together, and the fact that Hangouts on Air is one of those platforms that keeps changing, and people need to be up to date.
I said to Ronnie one day, I said, every time they make a change, everybody's going, oh no. I said, you're probably going, yes. And he's like, no. He's like, then I have to go change all my material again to fix it.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing evergreen, is it?
No.
Not around here.
So we've done a lot without having to talk about Hangouts, but we just started really digging into the Hangouts at the end there.
At 56 past the hour. That's amazing.
And Mike Fountain, he says you're a great storyteller, and he's enjoying your story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I've got other stories. And here's another one that's really... Okay, you want to bring that one up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, hi, Nazim. Hi, brother.
He says he loves POP, and he wants to see your dog mascot.
Well, we'll definitely bring some of those in. In fact, one of the videos I did with Victor was with Mark Trapp-Hagen.
Oh, wow.
And we did tasty dog bone treats. And I'll bring that in there. I think that's part of that same Google Plus Change Search Forever thing. But for those that are pilots, and this is almost a pre-show, I'm planning on doing something with the EAA, Experimental Aviation Association, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, coming up.
Wow.
I think it's the end of July, early June. I'm sorry, end of July, early August. I spent a lot of time with a friend. He was one of my co-trainers with Mac Academy. We traveled all over. And when you do training with people for 12 years, you get to know each other. So he's a pilot. He's a really, really cool guy, and he builds his own planes. So we were in his own planes, and I've got tons of stories about flying. And one of the biggest honors that I didn't even know was an honor, okay, until later, is that I got to eat dinner with a guy named Steve Whitman. And some of you say, well, who's Steve Whitman? Just like me. It's like, I don't know. Well, it turns out he is the guy they named Whitman Field after. And, of course, everybody's like, oh, of course, right? But if you're a pilot, you might know that because that's the name of the airfield in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So
Nice.
Steve Whitman is this old guy when I met him for dinner. It was his 91st birthday. My friend brought him a magazine of Pilot Today, which was 50 years ago, him on the cover, and that recent year. So he had a 50-year span with this one magazine.
Wow.
And his pilot license was signed by Orville Wright.
Wow.
That's cool.
So
I
I've got
got
to
it.
ask
I'm
Ronnie, so do you still own 13 properties, or did you ever?
Oh, they're gone.
Well, you know what? If you did in Colorado right now, they would be gone because you can't even get
I
them.
figured that's why he kept moving around as he was hiding from his creditors.
We're actually in a house that's owned by my wife.
That's how you roll. I see that. I love this comment from Christopher. He says, "Ron, oh gosh, now I just missed it." He basically said that you've taught him how to sit, stay, and roll over. So.
Oh, I see that. There it is. I'll bring it up. It's right here.
Thank you.
Great trainer. He's got me to
Stay, beg, and roll over.
beg and roll.
I like sit, stay too. That was a pretty good one too.
Well,
We
good.
heard a lot about what you do for work, Ronnie. What do you do for fun?
For fun,
Good one.
I like. And how long is the show? Because we're
You
It's
got a
over,
minute.
but we can go a little longer.
We can.
okay.
It's Ronnie Bincer.
For fun, one of the reasons I decided to move to Colorado, because I had traveled, like I said, traveled all over the place. I decided based on where I liked, and so I decided because it didn't matter where I lived; they just fly me to wherever I was doing the training. So I chose Colorado Springs because, believe it or not, I like it. It'd be slightly smaller town than Denver, but still big enough to have a lot of stuff, and it's close enough for skiing. And there's Bob.
Yeah, I was about to say, He really heard you talking about the cat and the dog or all
Hey,
that kind
Bob.
of stuff. Yeah, he's cold free right now. I'm pretty proud.
Aw, look at Bob.
He's pretty happy.
So skiing is something I really enjoy. I grew up skiing in New Hampshire, which is called ice, and then I moved to here, Colorado, so I enjoy skiing in powder. But now when I have opportunity, I really, really enjoy going to Utah because I think the powder is even better there.
I will tell you, I learned to ski on the East Coast and then came out here. It was like ice on an incline on the East Coast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But this is the only place I've skied, and it's always ice.
If you grow up in ice or on ice and then you go to Colorado and people are complaining about how bad the conditions are, I'm like,
Punch him in the face, right?
That's pretty nice. I like it.
Like, I'm going to give you something to cry about. Go back to the East Coast. I like this comment from Krishna, catching up on Ronnie's story. Yes, at Hong Kong, you can almost reach out in the apartments and join people for dinner. You can be so close to them. You missed the end of the runway. Oh, wow. She's funny. Hey, Krishna. But you got all kinds of people here from all over the world.
Yeah, I also like camping. So skiing and camping. And so the mountains here, I also did, when I first moved to town in Colorado, because I was traveling so much, I didn't need any local work at all. The weeks, I would travel 2 weeks a month and then be home 2 weeks. I went four-wheeling and exploring and camping. Had a really, really good time. And still go back to my secret places that nobody knows about because I like camping in the middle of nowhere.
And you have to chip you.
Do you have internet access?
I don't, not when I'm camping.
Christine.
I'm really on that quest for a cabin in the middle of nowhere with like really awesome internet access.
Go check out Christine's post from the other day. We started a firestorm with her little cabin that looks like.
Yeah, and we're like bringing people, and everybody's like, "I'm gonna bring so and so and so and so," and I'm like, well, if you bring too many people, it's not gonna be like we're missing the point of the middle of nowhere thing. You know, we're like creating a town here.
A small village.
So
Yay.
camping, skiing, those are things that I really enjoy. I used to play a lot of volleyball, but I don't anymore. And I learned volleyball in Texas in the sand, and then I came to Colorado, and it's more indoor.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
Cool.
Then it's also hard to catch your breath with the altitude up here, isn't it?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other comments?
No, I think we're good.
Well, we do. I love this one. Cloning, does that mean there'll be a GMO? A GMO Ronnie?
I don't get that.
Genetically modified.
Okay.
Yeah, like GMO wheat. There's a GMO. Like, it's not quite right.
So, Ronnie, tell people how they can find you and what's
Yes.
coming up next for you.
They can go to thehangouthelper.com. Right there, thehangouthelper.com, and that's a great way to connect because that'll help you get to me and either on Google Plus or to the Hangout Mastery, which is our wonderful, phenomenal, we love it, membership environment where everybody gets to learn and help each other about Hangouts. Really, really cool place. And what's next? More Hangouts, and probably more mobile. Primarily because if I can make this thing work, I'm going to be going to the EAA thing and hopefully do some cool stuff from there. And we just hope Hangouts keep on growing and getting better. We know, if you've done any of them, how phenomenal they are for making connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helping you network and stuff like that. Really, really cool.
It's an understatement. That's your standard hand motion, by the way, Ronnie, when you do this. Like, if anybody's ever seen, like, Carol Merrill, do the whole thing, that's Ronnie's.
Is this me? I'm saying right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or I'll say comments either over there or over there.
Yeah. I can't remember. I never remember which side it's on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
All right,
speaking of Hangouts, I'm going to be on the Daria Musk concert Hangout tonight. She is playing live from House of Blues in New Orleans, and she actually hooked up Lance Fields with tickets to go in person. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So looking forward to that.
Are you going to be in the film strip?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God, that's so exciting.
Yes.
I saw that. Nice job. And
Yeah.
you. Yay, we'll definitely watch that tonight. Craig, what do you got going on? Just sitting around being pretty?
Yeah, just working on my skin.
Oh, Craig and I have a big announcement. We're rolling out Circuloscope to our beta testers tomorrow.
Right.
So they are going to start testing that. It's going to be pretty cool. And
Very
Craig's
exciting.
going on vacation.
Yeah.
Shocker. I'm sorry, but shocker.
He's so lovely. No wonder.
It's a holiday weekend.
It's all the rest he gets.
It is a holiday weekend, isn't it? Coming up.
It is
Yeah.
coming up, definitely.
And Mia, tomorrow you've got a show at Chef, is that right?
Actually, I have a show on Friday.
Friday?
We're going to be, and listen, Ronnie, you got to come up for some food and booze, brother.
Okay.
When we hear, yeah, that was a tough sell. Everybody says it, I'll go, okay, because pretty much that's it. This Friday I'll be at the Denver Tea Room, actually. So.
Can you try to get to Pappadeaux's? That's one of my favorites up there. You know.
Oh, in the Tech Center.
Yeah.
I could make it there. That's a good trek for me, but a bigger trek for you. Ooh, let's totally do that one. I shall make it so for you.
Excellent. I'll be there.
Like a magic wand thing. So I've got that on Friday with Chef here at Denver Tea Room, and then I've got the weekend edition. Speaking of food and booze, Larry Fernilli is joining me. I love that guy. And Debbie Davis and Heather Crafter. So she's crafty, and it's going to be all about summertime.
Nice.
And me and I do have an announcement. We're breaking up like Mike and Ike, I guess you could say.
Just a show, though.
Next week it will be our final 15 minutes on air, and so we're both very busy. She is doing the food and booze and her show. I'm busy with the music hangout, and Circloscope is launching, and the TNT boot camp. So we just decided, maybe a little less, one less hangout wouldn't hurt either of us.
But it's been fun.
It has been fun.
And we've had a sponsor since the very beginning, which
First
has been amazing.
day,
And
yes.
that's all you, Christine. So thank you for that, sweetie. And thank you, Holiday in DC. They have been there tight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And
we're definitely still planning on doing stuff together, kind of like we did when we went to Social Media Marketing World.
Yes.
And so we're still gonna.
We
We're
have
gonna do something.
yes. Well, we're probably going to be doing something in October, right? So
Mhm.
something before then. So HOA street team style
Yep.
again too, because we have way too much fun with that.
Yeah. But we don't know what Craig's gonna do. He's gonna need to be the lovely for another show.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Craig is up for auction.
I'm gonna focus on Circloscope and follow you guys around.
That sounds good.
And summertime and drinking.
Right.
Wait, that's my
Running
plan.
and
Wait a second.
Do you bring the food and booze out camping? Because maybe I'll need to bring you out to the camping spot. But we'll have to find a good.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
As long as Mama doesn't have to actually pack it out. Is
what I
is it
usually
car
do-
camping?
What I really usually do, it's car camping if you like. You four-wheel back to the area and then you set up. Yeah, and I'm the cook usually. When we go camping, I'm the guy that cooks.
Nice.
Oh, I think we're on to something.
Yeah.
I think we would have to dart gun Greg to get him to do that because, as he says, black people don't camp, so he won't go. He's like, have you ever seen those movies? It never turns out well. But if we just get a dart gun, and then we'll wake up and we're at camp. So, and Ronnie's cooking. You just can't go wrong with that, right?
Yep.
I like this idea. All right, guys, that's it. So, and we have next week Christopher Vogelman, right?
Yes, so join us next week for our last show and our special guest, Christopher Vogelman, who is in Washington, D.C., and we're hoping might make an appearance from Holiday Inn.
Yes.
Cool.
Would that not be special?
That would be cool.
It'd be very special. You're going to have to pivot every single word. You're going to have to go to a different meaning for each word because that's Christopher.
Yeah, if you watch the comments, he's got something to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's it. Ronnie, thanks so much for telling us what's your story.
It's been my
Thanks,
pleasure.
Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks, Ron.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.